Hi, everybody. I'm Tori.
I'm Courtney, and we're your bitch pack friends.
Today, we're recapping one of our favorite girls who was just on the Call Her Daddy podcast, Avril Lavigne.
Your girl. She's my girl too, but you're definitely a bigger fan than I am.
I do love her. I'm drinking out of my Avril koozie today, actually.
There it is.
So we love Avril. I do especially love Avril. I've been with her since the beginning. I remember when she lost the Grammy to Norah Jones for Best New Artist. I was very pissed on her behalf.
That doesn't sound right at all. I don't remember that, but how did that happen?
That's the only time in my entire life I've ever watched the Grammys, and I was so pissed. And who's laughing now? Nora. That's what I have to say about that.
Check her out.
But so Avril had she doesn't do a lot of podcasts, which I hadn't thought about until she said, like at the beginning of the Call Me Daddy episode, like, I'm never on podcasts. And it's true.
There she was.
So,
I feel like celebrities who usually just like hate interviews, they're saying yes to Call Her Daddy. And I see why. It's just very chill and fun. And Alex Cooper is like very cool. So I see why they're saying yes.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. Like what makes a good podcast host? Because if Avril wants to come on Bitch Pack Friends, she's more than welcome, in case that is unclear.
Someday.
But I do think Alex Cooper is like cool and chill, but also not super super interesting. And I would even
one of us.
I would even say the same for like Joe Rogan has like the most popular podcast in the world, and he's like fine, but like
I've heard about him. I've never watched or listened.
I feel like that's part of the deal of like being a good podcast host, though, is that they like blend in and they don't take attention and they ask really good questions and they let the guest like have the spotlight. And I feel like that's true for Alex Cooper. Is like, yeah, she's cool and interesting and chill, but she like she makes it about the guest, but she also like brings the best out of the guest.
Yeah. Well, and it feels like they're just hanging out. It's not like she's drilling them with questions. Like, it's just like they're having a conversation sitting on the couch, which they're actually doing in their sweatpants.
Yeah, I do like that.
Mm-hmm. Very chill. And she's not like pushing boundaries.
Yeah. She did push her on the dating thing a little bit, but Avril was like, no.
I was going to say, I was like, I would not want to interview Avril. She is intimidating. There were a couple questions. She was like, would you ever date an athlete? And Avril just sits there and looks at her. And I was like, ooh, I would quit that job so fast.
Well, yeah, Avril I think is very interesting because she is both like she's small, she's fun, she like is down for a good time. She's not super threatening, and then on the other hand, she's also very intimidating and very threatening.
I think that's what makes her so scary, is that like she is laid back and she doesn't give a fuck, but then it's like, so when she does care, it's like, what did I do?
Yeah, she's like the embodiment of like, who's afraid of little old me.
It's just everybody.
We're all afraid of Avril. So what were like impressions versus expectations? Was anything surprising to you about the interview?
No, I feel like she's the same Avril we had when we were in middle school. Like she is it's just Avril. Yeah. And she hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about her.
She looks exactly the same.
She's like, she was never a product. Like it's her.
Yeah. The thing that, now that you say that, I was like reflecting on her career, and when she was talking about it, I was kind of struck by like, it almost felt too easy, you know? Like, like she's just like, I was playing at county fairs in Canada, and then the next thing I know, I was in New York, and I was 17 signing a deal with L.A. Reid, and then I was a household name. And that like doesn't, I don't know if she's like leaving out like a couple years of just like grinding and trying to get famous. Because even, I feel like most musicians, and even like Taylor Swift talks about like traveling all night and going all over the country and playing these like cheap shows and like, you know, waiting outside record labels to try and get signed. And Avril's just like, yeah, I won a Shania Twain contest and then they gave me a record deal.
And Alex was like, have you always been comfortable on stage? And Avril's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's no big deal. It's just like her confidence is like
Yeah.
so up there, and she's just like so laid back about everything. Like even when she's talking about being famous, she's like, that's just part of it, and it means people have heard my music, so whatever. Which I love, because one of my biggest pet peeves about celebrities is when they complain about being famous. It's
Yeah.
like, then stop.
Yeah.
Go work at Rite Aid. I don't know. Do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I have like zero sympathy for celebrities that complain about being famous.
Right.
Like you
Like
could,
you can stop at any moment.
yeah. Or I remember reading an interview with one of the Avengers. I think it was Chris Evans, and he was like, not sure if he wanted to be Captain America or not. And he's like, if I take this role, it means I'm going to be really famous. And I'm not sure if I want that. And then he like thought about it and decided to do it. But it's like you don't have to be in an Avengers movie. You can be
Right.
you can be a working actor and like have a livable wage. Actually, be pretty rich and not be that famous. You know?
Right. I think I remember Jennifer Lawrence saying the same thing about the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But she ultimately ended up doing it because she was like, I wanted to do it. She was like, it sounded like a fun job. She
Yeah.
liked the story and everything. So she went for it. And I think it's worked out for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I love that about Avril too. And I feel like if I was like I was just imagining like if I was really friends with Avril, I feel like repeatedly she would be saying to me like, it's not that deep. You don't got to overthink
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And I feel like just like her personality, like the way she naturally is, just like fits fame
Mhm.
and like the lifestyle of being a rock star. I think that matters too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. She seems like she knows how to have a good time and
Yeah, she's like, every night after a show, we have a barbecue and we set up beer pong and we just party all night. And I'm like, you
we
go, girl.
skateboard. Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that I was surprised about, well, she mentioned barbecuing a couple times, but she also talked about how she loved camping, and
Oh,
um,
right.
that was very surprising to me. How she just like likes to be outside in the woods, and
Okay,
I
so she said that, and my first thought, I was like, how are there no like pictures? How has nobody told stories about seeing Avril Lavigne's tour bus at a campground? Right? Wouldn't there
yeah,
be proof of that somewhere? Because there's people, unless she finds like
maybe she
private
maybe she goes
camping.
tent camping or something. Probably
Uh,
not.
no, didn't she say she like parks her tour bus on a campground?
She probably owns like a forest in Canada, and she just drives it around there.
Right,
Drives back, invites all her friends out in the woods.
a hidden campground.
um, so one thing that she did that I also really loved, I thought it was very true to her, was she showed up with beer and pizza
Mm-hmm.
for this noon interview, and I was like, Avril looks so good. I'm not sure how much beer and pizza she's actually drinking, but um, but she brought the beer and the pizza. And then I was kind of annoyed because I was like, this is just a shtick. Like they're just gonna set the beers next to them and not drink them. And I was watching the whole interview to wait and see if they would. They didn't touch them, and then Avril like makes Alex drink the beer.
Yeah, to like avoid a question.
Yeah, yeah, she did use it to avoid a question, but she did make her drink the beer, which I appreciated.
Yes, I didn't
So
see anybody eat pizza, but
yeah.
maybe after. And I
um,
also love that Avril acted like she was just dragged out of bed for this noon thing. She's like,
she's
listen, this is early for me.
she's a night owl.
Yeah, I don't blame her. Her shows get over at what, 11?
Yeah. So Avril is promoting. She's doing a greatest hits tour this summer. She's on the road. She's also putting out a greatest hits album. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to go to the concert,
Boo, you
but
whore.
but I'm very happy for her. She's earned it. And yeah, it's weird that she's been around for 22 years,
That is weird. That means we're old as heck.
Old as heck. And one thing I appreciate about her a lot is that, like, like you said, like she's always just herself. But I also think it's cool that like herself was like this teenager wearing ties, and then like this super emo girl. And then her third album, she just shows up and she's like, I'm gonna try a tutu now, like, and
Yeah.
and she's like,
And
stop
that's
being.
when everybody said she was dead.
She's like, why is everybody being weird about it?
Right. What's the big deal?
Yeah, so I appreciate that she's always like, she just does what she wants. She's genuinely like punk rock, and
Mm-hmm.
even if that means wearing a
She
pink
is.
tutu and bleach blonde, dyeing her hair.
I also loved, so Alex brought up the whole Melissa thing, like saying the conspiracy theory that Avril Lavigne is not Avril Lavigne, she's some girl named Melissa. And
Yeah,
Avril's just like laughing about it the whole time. And Alex is trying to get her to be like, I am not Melissa, it's me, Avril Lavigne. And Avril's like, you believe it, don't you? And she's just laughing at her. I thought that was
uh,
chef's kiss.
yeah, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I love even the way Alex phrased it. She's like, I want to ask you what the most crazy conspiracy theory you've ever heard is, but I think you know. I think I already know the answer to that one. And
Yeah, it
then
was almost like awkward.
yeah, and then Avril, like you're right. Avril wouldn't say it out loud, but she's like, it's a good one.
Right. She's like, do I really have to say? Like, obviously I'm Avril Lavigne. And um I just lost my thought. I was gonna say something, but it's gone. So
Well, yeah, she's Avril Lavigne. She looks exactly the same as she did when she was 17. Um, Actually, I did want to ask you a question because
yeah.
you know a lot about hair. Avril said that her hair is not naturally straight, which that was actually one of the most shocking things to me about this whole
Yeah.
interview is that
I want to see it curly so bad.
and I was like, I was like searching my brain for an image of her with like and she kept saying stick straight. I was like, I can't come up with an image of her that doesn't have stick straight hair. And she's like, yeah, I just got a straightener like right before I got famous.
That worked out.
So I want to see her real hair, and I'm not 100% sure I believe her. I feel like it's one of those things like teenage
Like a little
distortion.
wavy.
Like it's like a teenage distortion where your like hair is a little wavy, and you're like, it's out of control. Like
It's so curly. Well, like so she could be getting it like chemically straightened. So there's
probably,
like
yeah,
all kinds of processes you can do to make it straight. Because otherwise, her hair would be curling during her shows, like Taylor Swift's does.
yeah,
As her show goes on, her hair gets curlier and curlier. And Avril's doesn't do that.
yeah.
So I'm assuming she's got it chemically straightened, whether that's Brazilian blowout or some other product.
Plus, I mean, this is a dumb question, but she has extensions, right? Like they're not.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
And her hair does look damaged, like at least in this interview. When we were kids, it looked nice and healthy, but I think her hair has been through it, and I could see damage in this interview.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here. Get it together,
From a
Avril.
licensed cosmetologist,
That's right.
retired.
Retired. Um, well, in regards to her style, one of the things that she said that I really liked was like when she had one of her first magazine shoots was about, how they were trying to like make her into something that she's not, and she just wanted to wear like skate shoes and dress like a tomboy. And she's like, I wrote it down, but she said they wanted me to put me in stuff I was very afraid of, like blouses.
That's relatable, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, she was such a tomboy, and I feel like her talking about her childhood. I mean, again, it's so shocking to me how she went from like this normal small town life to being a superstar with relative ease, it sounds like. But she
Yep.
was like playing hockey. She got kicked off the hockey team for drinking, like, which sounds like so on brand for her. Like
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't even
Yes.
like her that's something like a manager would like tell her to do, you know?
Right. Like make it up to make her sound angsty.
Yeah. Um and just like her stories of like playing hockey with the boys because there was no girls team. I was like, this
It's
is so
just
Avril.
Avril.
Yeah.
In the movie of Avril, that's a scene.
Yeah. Her like breaking some boy's ribs by checking him on the
Yep.
glass. Yeah.
Yep.
I'd watch it.
I would
Um
too.
but yeah, and then she was like she won that Shania Twain singing contest, and she was like, and then I was just singer girl, you know?
Yep.
And
And here
she
we
was just
are.
unfazed by it, which
So while I'm thinking of it, Avril writes her lyrics, and like listening to her talk, it's a bit relatable because like I'm not very well spoken. Like it takes me a while to find the words that I'm thinking. And I was hearing that from her during this interview where she was almost like talking in circles. And at one point it was just like affirmations. Like if you
Yeah.
were to look up Pinterest affirmations, like that's what she was saying. And it was like she had to dig so hard for the right answer. And I was like, same.
Yeah.
I also don't know how to find words. But then she's writing songs.
Yeah.
So like she does know how to find the words, but
Well,
in
it's
this
funny.
scenario, she just sounded kind of jumbly.
Well, I think maybe that's why she doesn't do a lot of live interviews. Maybe she's not like she needs some time to get it out. Because when I
Mhm.
mean, she does sound like kind of like shallow. I guess like she
Yeah.
just, she doesn't think that deeply like in the moment.
Mhm.
But and I think that's like she's gotten a lot of criticism because people say that she doesn't write her own songs or that she like when she has a co-writer, the co-writer does all the work, and she's been like very defensive of that, like, no, I do write my own songs. And even she was talking about writing Head Above Water, which is arguably one of her like deepest, like emotionally deepest songs that she has. And she's like, yeah, I just wrote it and I was, near death and I wrote about it and here's the song. And
And I don't know that song. And I also didn't know she was sick. So she had Lyme disease.
yeah, she from camping, another reason not to go camping. Yeah, she was like bedridden for like 2 years, and she
Which
didn't
is
put out,
wild.
didn't put out any music, and like she really thought she was gonna die, and apparently she wrote that song. And
Crazy. So
but,
Lyme disease that you get from ticks, right?
mhm.
Okay, so I was like really listening and I was hoping they were going to go into that more cuz like we live in the middle of the woods and we're outside all the time. So in my head I'm like it's not a matter of if, it's when. Like I'm just expecting to get Lyme disease at some point cuz we pull ticks off ourselves every single day.
um,
So
yeah, make sure
and I'm
you
like
do a good tick check.
yeah, and I so you can like send ticks in to get them tested, and I'm like, I might test ticks that come off my kids, but on myself, no, I'll just wait and see what happens. But is there like so she was bedridden for 2 years? There's no treatment.
I think it takes a while to like figure out what the treatment that you need is.
Okay,
And
so
then
there's something they can do.
yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm gonna get us taken off for like fake medical news, but
Fake news canceled.
but I think it takes a long time to actually diagnose Lyme disease because it looks like so many other things. Like it just looks like fatigue, I think.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so people don't know what it is until you like, and it's like the 30th thing that you test for or something.
Mm.
And oh hey,
It'll
Betty's
be my
back.
first. If I'm ever ill, I'm like, I play in the woods.
It's
Test me for
Lyme. It's
Lyme.
Lyme disease.
It's Lyme disease.
And I think depending on like how old you are when you get it, like if you're still developing, then like the way it affects your body changes over time. And I don't know. I know it's hard to detect, and then it's like hard to figure out what treatment like you specifically need for it.
Okay.
So,
Well, bummer.
but yeah, I mean, I'm just like this is a reason not to go camping because I do know like I know a couple people who have Lyme disease, and it seems
Sounds
awful.
brutal.
It seems
Mm.
absolutely awful.
Well, hopefully, if I ever get it, my children are grown so that nobody's depending on me.
Yeah, just think we could have another Avril album if not for Lyme disease.
If I ever get Lyme disease, I know what album to go to.
That's right.
Mhm.
Let's see. Just a friendly reminder, I think that speaking of her songwriting ability, she wrote Breakaway, which was made famous by Kelly Clarkson.
Yep.
And that's one of her things is like I wrote that song and that song's a hit and not even
It's a
because I
good
sang
song.
it. Yeah, it's like a very solid pop song.
Yeah, and Kelly Clarkson killed it, obviously, like everything.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think she like has a lot of pride about that because she's like, I'm a good writer, even though people
Mhm.
think I can't speak.
And I love Alex was like, "When did you decide to give that song away?" And I was like, "I just wasn't feeling it. Like it's not that deep. It wasn't for me."
Just yeah. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
and I think that was right. Like I think it actually was like perfect. Like
Mhm.
it's such a Kelly Clarkson song, and
She did say she wants to sing it on her greatest hits tour.
yeah, I've heard Avril's version of it, and I think it's good. But it's
I don't know if I have.
It's a Kelly song. But I guess in the original version, like at the opening, one of the opening lines is like when the rain would fall down, and when Avril first wrote it, she wrote when the snow would fall down.
I like that much better
because it snows in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about. So at the end, you kind of alluded to it already, but Alex is like pressing her about her dating life. I took from it, I was like, maybe Avril is dating an NHL star. Because she's like, are you dating a hockey player? And Avril's like, just dead
nothing.
Just absolutely nothing. I was like, maybe she's dating one of the LA Kings right now. That's why she moved to Malibu.
Well, I took it as she's dating somebody, and that's why she wasn't comfortable answering about anybody else. Like, even if it's not an athlete, if you're dating somebody, you don't want to be like, yeah, I would date an athlete. If they're not.
Yeah.
So it could go either way.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like Avril, she seems like a relationship girl to me. Like she does. She's gotten married a couple times. She seems like, I used to think she was very like blasé about relationships and like she just didn't care. And because like remember she was dating recently, like last year, she was dating Mod's son, singer.
Yeah, and then I didn't know who he was.
He sucks. I'm glad they broke up.
Okay, good.
He was in a throuple with one of the Hadid sisters and some other girl, I think. And then he started dating Avril, and they got engaged. And I was like, ugh, get out of it, Avril.
Run.
and he's just like, I mean, unless he's like a really nice person, like she's out of his league. I'm sorry.
He looked like a dweeb.
Yeah, it's like Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco. Like
but I like him.
I get that because he's nice.
He seems very good to her.
And then this guy, I was like, I don't know. He seems like he sucks. So
you weren't feeling it. So, you were getting bad vibes.
I didn't like it. And then they broke up. And I don't even think Avril told him. I think she just went out on a date with Tyga.
What?
Did you hear? Well, Alex asked her, and I guess she's always been in denial about like dating Tyga, but they've been spotted out at dinner like multiple times over the years. Like,
and that was another question she ignored.
On a date, or in a very date-like setting, and but they've never like officially been like, we're dating.
It's like a candlelit dinner, and Avril's like, that's my friend Tyga.
Yeah, he's just buying me dinner because he's nice.
I was just hungry, okay?
You never been hungry before?
You never taken advantage of a free meal?
Well, anyway, so I was just like, wow, that's cold. And I actually kind of loved it because I was like, this guy sucks. And Avril was just like, you know what? I don't want to be engaged anymore. And then she went, like, literally the next day, she was like out on the town in LA, like going out to dinner.
He must have done something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that was my guess. But, yeah, so I just thought Avril was like a little bit cold-blooded. And I was cool with that. But I actually don't, after hearing this interview, I don't think that's the case. I feel like she actually is like kind of a softie, and she said something like, I still can't figure it out. Like, you know.
Which, like, and she sounds like she's been just like done wrong by guy after guy, which is like, are they stupid? It's Avril Lavigne. Same as like the losers Taylor Swift dated before, and like all these other famous women who just get screwed over by these dorky men. Like, what is going on?
If Chad Kroeger cheated on her, how stupid do you have to be?
But you're not wrong. Honestly.
Like Alex was like, have you ever been cheated on? And Avril's like, have I ever dated a man? Like,
right.
I was like, dude, what a bummer. Like,
it is a bummer. I don't understand.
How can you be so dumb as to cheat on Avril? Like, what could you possibly want?
What is better than Avril Lavigne?
She said it herself. She's like, I'm fucking awesome. I would date me.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
She likes skater boys. That's her type. It was funny when
didn't we all in middle school, but she just never grew out of it.
She is firm in her conviction. It was funny when she was talking about being 17, and she was like, I wasn't really that interested in boys, but if I saw a skater boy, I'd do a double take.
She was like, the big fat skate shoes. Like, do they still make those, the DCs?
I don't know. I haven't
Man,
tried to buy
even
any in a while.
I used to buy, didn't we all buy skate shoes? Even though we didn't skate?
I had a skateboard once. I got it for Christmas, and then that was it.
I never had one, but I tried on like other people's skateboards and it never went well, so I just gave up immediately.
I also got a guitar once that I never learned how to play.
It must have been my brother's guitar or somebody in my house had a guitar. And I did learn just like snippets of a few songs, but I was never like talented. It's hard.
It's better than me. Yeah, it is hard. And the thing, I feel like everybody should try it because then it would be very humbling because then everybody would stop being like, I could do that.
No, you can't.
You couldn't.
Yeah. Start on a ukulele. And even that's hard.
That's good advice.
Yeah. A little miniature guitar.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk about Avril's talking about songwriting. She was like, I don't know what to write about right now because she's like, I'm just like happy. And it brings me back to we talked about Taylor at one point. We're like, what is she going to write about now? Like being in a healthy relationship. Nobody's doing her wrong at the moment, but we do have the documentary coming out. So who is that from? It's like Scooter Braun's side of that drama.
Oh, okay. Bring it, Scooter. Defend yourself.
Yeah. So did I send that to you? And you were like, yeah, I want to see this side of the story.
Oh, I thought that was Taylor's take on it. I didn't realize it was from Scooter's perspective. I thought it was just Taylor explaining it.
I'm not sure. Maybe I don't think it's from Taylor.
Okay. Yeah, I would bring it.
All right. But anyways, what was I even talking about? Songwriting? What they don't know what to write about, or Avril doesn't know what to write about now that she's happy. And she's right, because nobody wants to listen to songs about, I'm just like living my life and everything's great. Like nobody wants angry, sad music.
Yeah. She does have a happy song off the top of my head called Sippin' on Sunshine that I really like.
Sounds awful.
It's not her best. It's not her best. Yeah, angry and sad are better, more fun to listen to.
Yes, that's why I loved like Paramore back in the day. They were just mad.
Yeah, it's easy to be mad when you're a teenager.
Yeah, and I think I'm figuring out what I don't like about today's music. It's like musically growing up, everything we listened to was like a lot of noise, like a lot of instrument. It was like either emo music or even the rap we listened to. It was just like there was a lot of sound behind it. And now music, like it's just all so simple and like boring. You know what I mean? So like I was listening to Sabrina Carpenter, her new song Espresso, which I love, very catchy, but just like very simple music. And the same with like Taylor's new album and literally anything else on the radio. There's not a lot of sound.
There's not enough bass
or drums or anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. Simple is a good word. I feel like some of them, especially like the pop rap songs, are like, it's like beeps and like synth sounds and stuff, and it's like
it's just like random noises from the house.
I'm sorry, I sound like a boomer. I can't help it. But
you're right.
And I'm like, this isn't even like, it doesn't sound like music to me. It's just like a series of noises. And yeah, I don't like it.
And like when you look at our rap, us millennials grew up with, we had like Nelly and Lil Jon and Lil Wayne, and like we had good beats behind it. Eminem.
Yeah.
And now it's like, where did those like powerful beats go?
I don't know.
They're gone.
I miss them.
I think that's why I liked and I'm just like rambling now, but I think that's why I liked MGK's his rock albums, because they were loud.
Yeah.
And I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, we, not to brag, but Courtney and I saw MGK and Avril Lavigne last summer or 2 summers ago.
Oh, wow.
So long ago.
That's awful.
Which now that I just feel like they're such a good pairing. And when I first heard about it, I wasn't sure, but
excellent tour.
Yeah. It was like a good like rock pop punk medley, and that song "Boys Lie," I still listen to it all the time.
Dude,
It's great.
so good. So good.
Yeah. I was thinking though while listening, because Avril was talking about Girlfriend and the resurgence, and she said something about it being like such a summer banger, and I was like, maybe it'll have a little resurgence this summer.
Yeah, the
because
song of 2024.
she's on tour.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd welcome it. I like that
So
song.
would I. So when I like our early 20s, when I started working in a salon, it was with like there were people our age, but it was mostly like women in their 40s, and they always compared me to Avril, and I never understood why. I think I must have had like a little rock vibe to me, and that's the only person that they knew of that was like punk. But I wasn't even like out of all the emo kids, we know I was the least emo. So I was always offended. I'm like, I'm not like Avril, I'm like Hayley Williams.
And they're like, who?
Yeah, who's that?
Okay, Avril.
Okay, Avril, whatever you say.
Wow, what a compliment now though, looking
I know,
back.
now I'm like, I wish people would say that. Nobody says it anymore.
Yeah, no one's ever told me I remind them of Avril. I'll say that. Unfortunately.
Well, maybe if you would have worked in the salon I did, you would have been Avril also.
Maybe. But yeah, we love her. She's back. She's on tour. And she said, I've been at this for 22 years, and I think I got at least another 22 more in me. And it made me so happy.
You go, girl.
Yeah. Anything else we need to say about Avril?
All
right. We love her. Rock
Love
on,
her.
Avril.
Rock on.
All right. We're your bitch pack friends.
Bye.